Hi, everyone. Sit with me for a moment in the stillness and feel into what's already shifting beneath the surface of your life. There's a quality to this moment you're living in, a tremor, a hum, a sense that something fundamental is reorganizing itself in ways you can feel but can't quite name. The air around your life feels different, charged, expectant, like the moment before dawn, when darkness hasn't left but light is already gathering. You feel it, don't you? That sense of standing on a threshold. Welcome back, it's Anna. And tonight we explore the nature of transformation. Not the transformation that's coming, but the transformation that's already here, already moving, already rewriting the architecture of your reality in ways both subtle and significant. Big life changes aren't approaching. They're already in motion, already present, already asking something of you. Let me illuminate what might be alive in this present moment. There exists right now, in the landscape of your current reality, a convergence. Multiple threads of your life that have been running separately are beginning to weave together. Choices you made months or years ago are bearing fruit in this season. Seeds you planted without knowing they were seeds are pushing through soil. Some souls move through major life transitions without recognizing them as such. They're too close, too inside the change to see its magnitude. They think they're just having a weird week or a strange month when actually they're living through a fundamental reshaping of their entire existence. You might be exactly there, in the middle of something enormous while thinking it's just Tuesday, just normal challenges, just the usual chaos of being human. But what if it's not usual? What if what you're experiencing right now is the kind of pivotal period you'll look back on years from now and say, that's when everything changed? Let me speak into what big life changes actually feel like from the inside while they're happening. This reflection invites you to consider what in your life currently feels unstable or uncertain. Major transformation often disguises itself as instability, as things falling apart, as structures that used to hold you no longer fitting, as relationships that felt permanent suddenly feeling temporary, as certainties dissolving into questions. In the ancient understanding, we know that creation and destruction are partners, that things must come undone before they can come together in new form, that the caterpillar must completely dissolve, become soup before the butterfly can emerge. You may be in the soup phase, where nothing feels solid, where you don't recognize yourself, where the life you had is clearly over, but the life you're moving into hasn't fully formed yet. And that in-between space, it's uncomfortable, disorienting, sometimes terrifying, but it's also sacred. It's also necessary. It's also evidence that, yes, something big is happening, not later, right now. This reflection invites you to consider what's currently dissolving in your life that you've been trying to hold together. Let me speak to the nature of what might be shifting. There are seasons in a life when multiple domains change simultaneously, not just one area, everything at once. Career shifts while relationships transform, while living situations reorganize, while internal understanding deepens. It's possible you're currently experiencing exactly that kind of multidimensional change. Maybe your work feels different or uncertain. Maybe a significant relationship is evolving or ending or beginning. Maybe where you live or how you live is in flux. Maybe your understanding of yourself is fundamentally shifting. In the wisdom traditions, these periods of comprehensive change are recognized as rare and significant. They don't happen every year. They happen a handful of times in a lifetime. And they mark transitions from one version of yourself to another. You might be living through one of those handful of times right now. And if you are, the discomfort you're feeling, it's not a sign something is wrong. It's confirmation that something profound is happening. This reflection invites you to consider how many areas of your life are currently in transition at the same time. Let me illuminate the signs that major change is present. There's a particular kind of restlessness that accompanies significant life transitions. An inability to settle, a feeling that you're supposed to be doing something but you don't know what, a sense that the old ways of being don't work anymore, but the new ways haven't revealed themselves yet. Some people experience this as anxiety, as something wrong with them, as evidence they're failing at life. But in the deeper seeing, this restlessness is actually your soul recognizing that you're outgrowing your current container, that who you're becoming can't fit in who you've been. You may be feeling that exact restlessness right now, that itchy, uncomfortable, can't quite settle feeling, like nothing is quite right, like you're waiting for something but you don't know what. That's not anxiety. That's transformation. That's your being reorganizing itself at a level so deep that the surface experience is just discomfort without obvious cause. Another sign is the feeling that time is strange, that days feel both endless and fast, that weeks disappear but moments last forever, that your sense of past and future is blurry while only the present feels real. This reflection invites you to consider, has your relationship with time felt different lately? Let me speak to what you might need to release. In the cycles of nature, growth requires letting go. Trees release their leaves. Snakes shed their skin. The moon wanes before it waxes. And humans, we must release old identities, old stories, old versions of ourselves before new ones can fully emerge. It's possible you're currently being asked to let go of something significant, a way of seeing yourself, a relationship that's run its course, a career that no longer fits, a belief about what your life should look like, a pattern of behavior that served you once but serves you no longer. Some souls resist this releasing. They grip harder. They try to force the old form to keep fitting. They make themselves smaller to stay in containers they've outgrown. And that resistance, it creates suffering. Not the clean pain of letting go, but the chronic pain of holding on to what wants to be released. You may be in exactly that resistance right now, knowing something needs to end or change, but terrified of what comes after the ending. So you hold on, you negotiate. You bargain for just a little longer in the familiar, even when the familiar has become prison. This reflection invites you to consider, what are you holding on to that's actually holding you back? Let me speak now to courage in times of change. There's a particular kind of bravery required for transformation. Not the bravery of doing something dramatic, but the bravery of allowing, of letting the old fall away even when you can't see what's coming next, of trusting the process even when the process feels like chaos. In the deeper knowing, we understand that resistance to change doesn't stop change. It only makes change more painful, that the river will flow whether we flow with it or fight against it, that our choice is never whether to change, but how we meet the changing. It's possible you're currently being invited into exactly that kind of surrender, not giving up, but giving over, releasing your grip on how you thought things would be and opening to how things actually are. Trusting that you can handle the unknown even when the unknown feels terrifying. Some people discover in these transitions that they're capable of far more than they believed, that they can survive losses they thought would destroy them, that they can rebuild identities they thought were permanent, that they contain multitudes they never accessed while staying comfortable. You might be discovering exactly that about yourself right now. Your capacity, your resilience, your ability to transform without breaking, or to break and then rebuild stronger. This reflection invites you to consider, what are you discovering about your own strength through what you're currently experiencing? Let me illuminate what sits on the other side of big life changes. Those who have walked through major transitions speak of a particular kind of clarity that emerges, not immediately, not during the chaos, but eventually on the other side. A knowing of who they actually are beneath all the roles and expectations. A freedom that comes from having survived what they feared wouldn't survive. It's possible that's what waits for you beyond this current threshold. Not a perfect life, not an easy life, but a more authentic life. A life that fits who you actually are rather than who you thought you should be. In the language of transformation, we call this alignment. When your external reality finally matches your internal truth, when you stop performing a version of yourself for others and start simply being yourself, when the life you're living reflects the values you actually hold, you may be moving toward exactly that alignment right now. And the discomfort you're feeling, it's the friction of false things falling away so true things can take their place. This reflection invites you to consider, what might your life look like if it fully aligned with who you actually are? Let me speak to practical navigation of present change. When big life changes are active, there are practices that serve. Not practices that control the change, but practices that help you move through it with more grace. Some traditions teach the importance of staying present, of not living too far ahead in worry about what might happen, of not living too far behind in grief about what was, but right here, right now, in this breath, in this moment, in this day. You may need exactly that practice right now. To stop catastrophizing about the future, to stop ruminating about the past, to just be here in the actual present where you actually have power. Another practice is honoring your own pace. Change doesn't happen on anyone else's timeline. It happens when it happens. And trying to force faster or slower than what's natural creates suffering. You might be trying to rush through this to get to the other side, to have the transformation be complete already. But transformation has its own rhythm, and you serve yourself by moving with that rhythm rather than against it. This reflection invites you to consider, are you trying to control the pace of your own transformation? Let me speak to companionship in times of change. These transitions can feel profoundly lonely because even when you try to explain what you're experiencing, words often fail. Even people who love you might not understand, might offer advice that doesn't fit, might want you to hurry up and be stable again when stability isn't what's needed. In the deeper wisdom, we know that major life changes often require some degree of solitude, not isolation, but a turning inward, a listening to your own voice that's hard to do when you're constantly explaining yourself to others. It's possible you're currently in exactly that kind of sacred solitude where you need to pull back from others, not because you don't love them, but because you need to hear yourself. Need to feel your own truth without the interference of everyone else's opinions. Some people will be uncomfortable with your withdrawal, will take it personally. will pressure you to engage when you need to retreat. And you might feel guilty, but there are times when the most loving thing you can do for yourself and others is to honor your need for space. This reflection invites you to consider who in your life can hold space for your transformation without trying to fix or rush it. Let me close by speaking to trust. You are in the middle of something significant. Whether you fully see it or not, whether you're ready or not, whether you understand it or not, change is alive in your life. Movement is present. Transformation is active. And you don't have to know where it's going. You don't have to understand every piece of it. You don't have to be certain about the outcome. You just have to keep breathing. Keep showing up. Keep choosing truth over comfort. Keep allowing what wants to fall away to fall away. The universe, life, whatever force you believe in, it's not punishing you with this change. It's not making you prove yourself. It's inviting you into a bigger expression of who you are. And yes, the invitation is uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the price of expansion. You remain the sovereign of your own journey. You can resist every step. You can fight the change. You can try to maintain what was even as it crumbles, or you can soften. You can allow. You can trust that you're capable of navigating whatever's unfolding. You can choose faith over fear, even when fear feels more reasonable. The power lives in you, always has. Before we part, I ask you to consider what part of your life is currently in the most flux. What feels most uncertain or unstable? And what might that instability be making space for? Share your reflections in the comments if you feel moved, and consider deeply what becomes possible when you stop resisting change and start dancing with it. Big life changes coming your way. They're already here, already present, already reshaping the landscape of your existence, not approaching, happening right now, in this very moment. And you're in the middle of it, surviving it, moving through it, transforming through it. Trust that. Trust yourself. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be, even when where you are feels completely wrong. Trust that you're being remade into something truer, something bigger, something more aligned with who you actually are beneath all the performing. May you find grace in the unraveling. May you find strength in the uncertainty. May you find yourself on the other side more whole than you've ever been. The change is here. You are ready. Even if you don't feel ready, walk forward